Well, we have the energy to be busy, busy, busy this cycle. But what to be busy with? That is the question. Do you feel selfish if you allow yourself to be absorbed in what you truly love? Or do others try to make you feel guilty if you do that? The possibility to be self empowered. These are all pressures, qualities, and questions that this cycle of the Human Design Weather for November 21st to 27th, 2025 bring. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Human Design Whether or Not podcast with me, Margo Fraser. We're going to dive right into the last of four cycles in a row that we've had where we have two individual traits that are being activated by the Sun Earth positions. Individual traits have the potential to bring a pulse of knowing that could be mutative. While individual circuitry carries a keynote of empowerment, this cycle, it's very much about self-empowerment, doing what you love for yourself and being self-empowered in that way. This is also one of the three Sun-Earth combinations, technically called oppositions, that creates a full channel. This cycle starts on November 21st at 9:34 p.m., going until the 27th at 11:02 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Universal time coordinates coming in November 22nd at 4:34 a.m., going until the 27th at 6:02 p.m. So remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun Earth positions because that's 70% of the conditioning field. We have the Sun moving into gate 34, the trait of power in the sacral center. The sacral center is a motor that generates life force energy. This gate, this trait, brings the power to individuate, to be your unique self. It's the most powerful gate in the sacral center as it serves three other traits. Gate 20 in the throat center that we have in the Earth position this cycle, gate 57 in the splenic center, that's the triangle at the bottom left of the body graph, and gate 10 in the G center, the diamond in the center of the chart. This is the power to survive alone. If you can't survive alone, you'll always be dependent on others, which over time can be quite frustrating. The sacral center is associated with the reproductive organs, and most of the genetic traits within it have a context in terms of sexuality. Those of you that have gone through my intimacy and sexuality and caring courses will maybe remember that, with the exception of gate 34, which we refer to as asexual. It's a trait of unavailability, as it's meant to be using its power for itself, for individuating, being yourself and surviving. This is a type of power that you may display when someone is trying to interfere with you. Individual traits do not like to be interfered with. So think about animals when they meet. There may be this display of power, a puffing up, some growling, and so on. But most of the time, one backs down and there isn't need to take any action. This can help you to understand its keynote, which says power is only great when its display or use serves the common good. Most often, what comes through this trait is its display, right? In that display, others back off. Usually, when we're talking about common good, it's about the collective, as the collective is concerned with the betterment for humanity as a whole. But this isn't exactly what it means here. Here it's referring to the common good that's served by you being your unique self and knowing how to survive alone. That's the opportunity that this trait being in the field provides, helping you to understand how to survive alone and providing that power to be yourself, to be self-empowered. Gate 34 is being grounded in the Earth's position. Gate 20, the trait of the now, and contemplation in the throat center. It is the most existential gate in the body graph. It's the voice of I am now. And if it's connected to the three gates that it serves, the 10, the 57, or like it is in this cycle, the 34, it's going to include an expression of that connected trait, but still in the now. The keynote for this trait can be misunderstood because it says recognition and awareness in the now, which transforms understanding into right action. This gate's in the throat. It's a mechanical gate. Only gates or traits in the splenic center, our most primal awareness center, the ajna, our mental awareness center, and the solar plexus, our emotional awareness center, have awareness. Its awareness will come when it's connected to the 57 in the splenic center. But it does have this built-in recognition of the now. It operates in the now, in the present, unlike the collective that's either looking into the future through logic or back into the past through the abstract circuitry. It represents the expression of your individual capacity to survive, and it brings the opportunity to be present to what is. When we look at the Sun Earth positions together, they connect to form a channel. So let's take a look at that. Just a reminder that when the transit field creates a channel, everyone that doesn't already have it in their chart is going to receive the activation of the related traits and qualities. So there's a big impact. Everyone in the world has these traits one way or another. This Sun Earth combination creates the channel of charisma. When you see someone who's really absorbed in what they love, it can be very charismatic. With the sacral center, which you can think of as the energy for work that's being generated there, being directly connected to the throat, the manifestation center, this is about doing, this is about taking action. It's gate 57, though, in the splenic center, that trait of intuitive clarity that gives an acoustic knowing in the now of what to be busy with. Unfortunately, gate 57 is not active in the transit field this cycle. So take a look at your own chart. If you do not have gate 57, you could end up being busy for the sake of being busy and just burning energy on things that are not of value to you this cycle. The keynote for this channel says a design where thoughts must become deeds, action. Now, the question is, whose thoughts? This is an individual trait and meant to be self-absorbed in what you really find satisfying for yourself. But if you don't have that gate 57, the thoughts may come from others. And if you're not really keyed into your own strategy and authority, you could end up using your energy for others and then ending up exhausted doing what's really not of value to you. That's really the caution that goes with this channel activation. If you have this channel in your design, and quite a few people do, you're likely aware of how often you get guilted into using your energy for others, right? Other people can feel it even at a subconscious level in your field, and they want that energy used for what they want to accomplish. Since this Sun Earth configuration creates a full channel, there are a lot of people in the world that carry this in their design. There's a lot of this frequency out there in the world. But again, often that power is not used in the correct way for oneself and living as a unique being. It gets co-opted for others. For those of you who are projectors, reflectors, manifestors, the non-sacral energy types, you're going to be getting that sacral center activated in an amplified way, since the undefined centers always take in and amplify. So you could really find yourself running around out of this energy, and it could leave you burned out. Or if you're already feeling like your tank is low, this could really be a tiring cycle. So try to be gentle with yourself. For all of us, without the 57 in our charts, if we don't have that awareness, again, we might want to be a little restrained with our energy and do your best to follow your own strategy and authority and not just take action out of this pressure. If you do have the 3420 in your design, Really keep an eye on your thyroid and parathyroid glands. That's what the throat center is biologically correlated with. That's a lot of energy moving up to the throat center, and that can create issues if that energy is not being used correctly. A reminder that the individual gates and channels can drop into melancholy. They can pulse into melancholy. It's just part of the biochemistry of the individual circuitry. And here it's about the melancholy of not being able to use your power in the now, or not being able to be here now, or not being able to do what you want to do. All right. Well, we have two channels that are being created by the transits of the moon this cycle. So, just short samples of the frequencies, since the moon only activates a trade or a gate for about 10 or 11 hours, give or take. This is coming in November 22nd at 12:23 p.m., going until 11:38 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC coming in November 22nd at 7:23 p.m., going until the 23rd at 6:38 a.m. We have the moon moving into gate 10, the trait of behavior of the self and of self love or self hate. Now, when the 10 comes in, it happens to be one of those gates that connects in with the 20 and the 34. So we're going to get two channels for the price of one gate here. First of all, we have the 10 to the 20, the channel of awakening. This is a design of commitment to higher principles, where the behavior that you can express, the behavior of yourself, can enhance your survival. There's a kind of a built-in mechanic to that gate 10 that understands how to behave in the now or not. So there can be an expression here as well of self-love or self-hate. The 3410 is the channel of exploration, a design of following one's convictions. This is part of the centering circuit, along with the 2551 from the G center to the ego or heart center. And we have the 25 in the field as well. We just don't have the 51. So almost the whole centering circuit there. This following of one's convictions is your convictions, you as an individual, not the convictions of your family or of society. What are your convictions? And it's the power to live those convictions and behave accordingly. And that can be an expression of self-love. Or if you're not following your convictions, it's going to be an expression of self-hate. This is also the channel that we associate biologically with your spine. So if you're not standing strong, have a spine. If you're not standing strong in your own convictions, that could be correlated with back problems. All right, that brings us to our long-term transits. The long-term transits are created by the nodes of the moon and the outer planets. They're with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases. So your not self mind could start to think they're part of you if it's something that you don't have in your own design. And then when that transit moves on eventually, that could be quite confusing to the mind. So let's start with the nodes of the moon, which have moved into line 4 just a little before the start of this cycle. The nodes are about what we see in the world and what's in our environment. And this is generally going to bring an environment of people sharing with each other. These are collective. Generally, with the North Node in gate 63, we see the doubt in the world, the places where things aren't working and the patterns don't seem to be reliable. It will bring an air of suspicion and noticing where things just aren't logically, where things aren't working the way that they're supposed to be. You may also notice people expressing self-doubt. Sometimes this doubt gets turned on oneself. With the South Node in gate 64, the trait of confusion, we're in an environment where people are trying to make sense of things and where there can be this confusion about what's going on. This is the pressure to put the puzzle pieces together. This doubt and confusion can bring good questions, which inspires the rest of the mental logic and abstract circuitry, respectively. Ultimately, it can bring the potential to raise consciousness. Or not. Depends how good the questions are that come out of it. For gate 63, line 4 is called memory. This fourth line has a great memory for patterns and is collecting the patterns in memory. It In comparing the patterns, it becomes clear when something is wrong with a pattern. And with the fixedness of the fourth line, it can really delve into the details of the doubt about a pattern that seems off. And out of that asks very sharp and detailed questions. Fourth lines are transpersonal, and there's a knowing with this frequency that there's that gate four on the other side, the gate of answers. And you can get answers to the questions that are asked, that potential exists. That fixedness of the four can also bring an intensity to the questions asked that some on the other end might find a little uncomfortable. When this trait receives an answer, there's going to be a projecting of that into the future to see if it mentally holds up or if there's still something that's not working there. Now, in the detriment, all of the details that were delved into to come up with the question will be forgotten when an answer is received. So, what gets projected into the future is quite different than someone who, in the exaltation, maintains all the details. This isn't necessarily a bad thing in the detriment. What can come out of this is a simplified understanding, and that's going to be very helpful in explaining scientific thought to someone who's a layman. So, what you may see in the world out of this are very keen questions about what's not working from those doubts. For gate 64, line 4 is called conviction. Again, the fourth line knows there's something on the other end. In this case, gate 47, the gate of realization. And in the exaltation, it brings a recognition that the confusion will resolve itself. It's built into it. I'm going to be able to put the puzzle pieces together. The detriment is that even though you've gone through the process of your confusion resolving, and you've gone through that process many times, there still remains doubt that the realization will come. So it brings more anxiety than necessary. The outer planets are all in the same gates and lines as the last cycle, although Uranus will move into line 5 a few hours before this cycle completes. So I'll leave it to the next cycle to talk about that one. I also want to mention that we have Mars sitting in gate 5, the trait of fixed rhythms, in the sacral center for this full cycle. This is an interesting position because gate 5 is about finding those fixed habits that you stand by no matter what. If you have this gate in your chart on its own and not in a channel, following and sticking with your fixed habits will support you in maintaining your vital energy. While a mature Mars can be very good at holding the healthy boundaries needed to stick with one's supportive habits, what we tend to see in the world is the immature aspect of Mars playing out. And that's going to bring a hasty energy that will be impatient and not waiting when needed to be able to stick to one's habits. If you don't have gate 5 in your own design, you may get a chance to recognize habits that are supportive to you and your vital energy, or you could be pulled into a habit from this pressure that's not actually aligned through your strategy and authority and actually wastes your vital energy. Okay, so let me give you a couple of keynotes for these long-term transits, considering the Sun-Earth positions, and also I'm going to bring Mars into this. So, first keynote. In a mentally stimulating environment that could raise consciousness and bring a real doggedness to wanting questions answered, there will be pressure to be busy making individual contributions that consider the correct patterns and rhythms of yourself and of those that you're contributing to, and bringing all the details to that. Since the sacral and throat centers are activated for everyone in the world, that bit of the keynote is going to be the main quality and pressures that we see out in the world. The other long-term transits will add their qualities, but it won't be as consistent. So those qualities are having difficulty in letting go of the past and fully embracing the new as you go through change. But this experience and your ability to accept the limitations present will support you in selflessly and clearly explaining that individual contribution. This could be both self-empowering and empower others. Now, if we look at more the detriment side, the keynotes, the way they could weave together are like this. So in a mentally stagnant environment where people are caught up in doubt and confusion, people may be busy blurting out their contribution with all the details that weren't asked for and ignoring the patterns that keep them healthy and the patterns of others that would open those others up to the contribution. This is likely to result in anger and frustration that contribution is being rejected, ignored, challenged, or just seen as weird. There may be difficulty in letting go of the past to the point that there's difficulty in adapting to change and turn, and there's this agitation by the limitations in one's life. There'll be this trying to get attention and recognition for so-called selfless action. And the busyness is more likely to lead to dissatisfaction, exhaustion, and feeling disempowered. Okay, so you can see any combination of that playing out in the world or feel that moving through you. You could also hear a lot about the habits that you should follow to stay healthy or to keep your energy up this cycle as well. Remember that for any of these traits, if you don't have them in your own design, it's just pressure from the transit field. You can observe it playing out around you, you can learn from it, but whether there's anything for you to do is going to be according to your own strategy and authority. So, especially with this cycle, with this pushy, busy energy, watch that it's not running you. That brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you just want to understand the basic of the chart, things like what's the red and the black about, the different geometric shapes, a little bit about the background of human design as a system, feel free to grab my free Human Design Basics mini course. It's at margogfraser.com/human-design. If you enjoy these podcasts, I really appreciate it. If you can give it a like, subscribe if it's correct for you, that really helps me out. All right. Well, if you have things that you need to get done, this could be a really great cycle for you with all this energy that's coming through. Just make sure you're really checking in with your own strategy and authority so you're using this energy in a way that's aligned. If it's correct for you, you may want to take time to allow yourself to be absorbed in what you really love without feeling guilty about it. Also, be aware that this is going to be, as I mentioned, very pushy energy to not only express what you want to contribute and say what you think with all the details, but also to take action on that out of the pressure rather than your strategy and authority. Or you could be on the receiving end where someone's forcing what they want to contribute on you and all the details and facts without you inviting them to do so. So you'll understand what's going on if that happens, and perhaps that's going to make it easier to bring some compassion to that. All right. Well, have a great cycle, and may you know, live, and love the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.